with the Iconoclasting podcast. And I am the founder and chief innovation officer of Iconoclast Innovations. And we help founders dejunk their operations so that they can retain more revenue. So today we have Kirsten Co on the podcast. Hi, Kirsten. Will you do us a favor and introduce yourself too before we get started?
For sure. Hi, Sarah, and hi, everybody. My name is Kirsten Co. I'm the founder of Co, which basically is a revenue growth embedded leadership consulting company for tech startups. That's how I want to call it. And we do that by helping people win enterprise customers specifically, and by doing strategic partnerships, business development, and more of the, let's say, old school way of dealing with people. I know there's a lot of AI out there and they have a lot of automation coming up, but there are certain industries that are not ready for that yet. So what I do is I step in and build the one-on-one relationships, and that's how I strategically grow revenue for the founders that I work with.
That's so cool. And so when I first talked to you, I said, I don't have your last name. And you said, no, it's Co. It's just Co. And I was like, oh, so it's like your business. Can you tell us how you came up with your company name? Because I think it's so interesting.
Yeah, it's very funny because for the longest time, my entire life, everybody has been asking me if this was my last name. And they thought I was a company in Ubers and Starbucks and everywhere else. And I'm like, well, it is my last name. So maybe I just got fed up, and said, I'll create my own company and name it after myself because everybody's been pushing me to do it anyway.
Inadvertently, right? That's
Yeah.
so funny. So you were like, so do you have any entrepreneurship in your family? Like, does that run in your family? I never did. So that's like, and I'm finding like there's some people who had never heard the word entrepreneur or founder like related it to themselves. So, but did you have entrepreneurship showing up in like the generations before you, or is it something brand new?
Definitely, there is really a huge entrepreneurial bloodline, so to speak. And I may be one of the few people in my bloodline, at least in my mother's side, that has chosen at the beginning of their career to work for somebody else. But they
Wow.
tried to like work me during high school or even, elementary days. They had me write invoices, do accounts payable the old fashioned way, count cash because we had the trading construction company, like a hardware store.
Yeah.
So it was very manual. I'm not going to reveal my age, but it was very manual. But that taught me a lot about grit. And I saw my parents how they grinded and hustled their way just to give us a good life. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I went the other road and decided to work for somebody else at the beginning.
So that was like your unusual pathway. That's so funny. I love that.
That's one of the unusual pathways,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, and so you're also from the Philippines, right?
I originally came from the Philippines, yes.
Okay. Okay.
My lineage is in China. So both my
Hmm.
parents are Chinese. They're first generation immigrants, and I'm
Okay.
second generation Chinese in the Philippines, born and raised at the beginning. So I spent around like 20 something years there until I
Yeah.
started working and I started traveling and I started living in four different countries now. I live in four different countries as of today. So
Whoa. What countries
yeah.
have you lived in?
So I originally came from the Philippines, as you know, and then I lived in Australia, and then I moved to Singapore, and I spent some time in Atlanta, Georgia, 10 years ago, before coming back to New York. I spent some time in London as well. So I've kind
Wow.
of been around, not through boat, but by
Yeah.
plane. It's just a joke, yeah. But yeah, I've been around.
That's great. So I'm from Atlanta and I love all things Atlanta. I got even like a tattoo of the skyline in a heartbeat. And it's Atlanta will always be my home, but I'm currently in Northern Virginia outside of DC, like 45 minutes. And so it's so funny that you brought up Atlanta. So when did you finally decide like enough is enough? I've got the name. I'm gonna do it. And so you struck out on founderhood, your own entrepreneurial work. Yeah.
It was only recently that I did
Yeah.
that. So I moved to New York 2 years now, 2 years
Wow.
now,
Yeah.
directly from Singapore. So I was working a cushy tech job there. And
Yeah.
Singapore, it has like it's zero income tax really. Very,
I did
very
not,
low
I don't know
taxes.
anything about Singapore.
Not zero, but like zero capital gains tax, very, very low
Yeah.
income tax, very safe, zero crime. Yeah, but I was there for like 7 years working a cushy expat job in
Mm.
tech. But then I felt like I wasn't being challenged myself.
Hmm.
personally, and I've always loved New York. And as I was going on a business trip, meeting some of my clients, because I had clients in the US that time, so I would fly in like what, 4 times a year to the
Yeah.
US, which was a lot. If you think about it, it's 18 hours one way, straight. Yeah. I looked up to the sky and told myself, oh my God, I feel like I need to move now. Enough is enough. I felt like I needed the last push to my growth at that level. So I just decided to do that. I packed my bags. I came over. I studied in NYU, which I graduated just like a few weeks ago.
Congrats.
And yes, thank you. And that's kind of my way in, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. And then I started my own LLC,
Yeah.
and I wanted to do my own thing and work for founders and kind of mold them. That's always been the grand plan. And now I'm hustling. I'm hustling in New York, and I love it. I mean, it's tough. Like honestly, when people say it's New York or never or anything, it's just like it's tough. You
Yeah.
think you think you're the shit, but you're not. I'm sorry, can I say that?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, it's really, really tough.
Yeah.
But I'm really grinding it out here and I'm loving it. It's
That's
odd.
amazing. That is amazing. So there's so many things that I want to talk to you about, and I don't know if we're going to be able to fit it in this entirety. So, okay, first question, how many languages do you speak?
Three. I
Oh my
speak three.
gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so English, obviously, you're
English,
here.
Filipino,
Okay.
but and English and Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, and a
Okay.
dialect that so it's 3.5, I can say,
Okay.
plus a Chinese dialect.
Okay, because
Yeah.
Chinese has a lot of different dialects, right?
Versions,
That,
yeah, dialects.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
the Indians have different dialects as well. So it's the
Wow.
same.
And that's so fun. And so you went to NYU for a Master of Science
It's
doing,
actually my second, yeah, it's my second master's. I
sorry, you
wanted to
already have an
challenge myself.
MBA. Sorry, I just saw
Yeah, I
that.
do.
You already have an MBA.
That's yeah, that was an unconventional path, right? Who the heck would have two master's degrees?
Like, just get a
I
doctorate, my friend.
would.
Like,
No, you know why I didn't want to get a doctorate? It's just because I felt like I couldn't focus on one thing for 5 years.
true,
Like
true,
one
true, true.
specific niche topic, I'm like, I'm gonna blow my mind.
So, okay, I'm looking at this right now. You have a BS in Management of Applied Chemistry. You have an MBA, and you now have, as of a few weeks ago, and I just want you to know we're recording this in mid-June of 2026, and I'm not entirely sure when this is going to air, but you have an MS, Global Security, Conflict, and Cybercrime.
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Tell me.
What, right? What? Yeah.
Tell me,
I
how do you
know.
get there? How do you fit that into the work you do? Especially because, like, if you're looking from like a revenue growth perspective, and you've got this diversified skill set just from like your education alone, taking in, you lived in four, and I'm going to say five countries, like, feels like London is there, and how are you taking all of that and applying it into the work you're doing? You're obviously very relationship focused, so you're super smart, you're doing all of this. Tell me, how does that drive what you're doing today?
Yeah, so I think of it as different stages in my life, really, as I accumulate these, I would say, treasures. Like the
Yes.
degree is a treasure, the second degree is a treasure. So when I decided to do my MBA, I was tired of doing corporate. I worked for the Coca-Cola company. That's how I ended up in
Mm,
Atlanta for a little bit. And it's funny, I was doing HR operations, finance operations, and all that stuff. But it was hard to climb that ladder because at that
yeah.
company, if you're like 27 and the rest of the people are like in their mid 30s or close to 40 and they're managerial of it, it's hard, at least at that time. At that
Mhm.
time, like 10 years ago, it was hard for us to move up because we were the youngest in the company and they didn't have
Yeah.
like the talent pool to be able to absorb that. What they would do is they would rotate us to different international assignments, hoping that we would
Yeah.
stay. So I didn't like I tried that. That's how I ended up in Atlanta, but
Yeah.
it just never really satisfied me.
Yeah.
And I wanted something fresh and new. And at that time, when you have an MBA, it was the next best thing to getting to the top, like the vertical top. But then
Yeah.
when I did the MBA, I was in Sydney. I decided to just get out.
Yeah.
I was in Sydney there and I did a little bit of consulting during my internship times. I managed a metal band.
What?
I know. It's ridiculous, right? I
You
managed a metal
managed
band in
a
city.
metal band,
Yeah,
like a band
but
that plays
yes, a
metal
band.
music.
well, it was like like a real metal band
You
that
have
I
to tell me
grew. So
their
I
name.
grew the audience. I grew the audience from when they were playing in dungeons and things like that, like 30
Dungeons.
people. Yeah, like
Yes.
the bars, the underground bars, and they're all like dark and sad, and I'm so sorry to all the metal
No, it's
fans,
so
but it's
funny.
really
It's
it's a
so
thing. Like
funny.
it's the image, right? And it was real. They were good boys though. They didn't do any crazy things. But so I did that for a while because when I was doing my MBA, everything is very heady. And I wanted to
Yes.
get into something more business-like, and I chanced into it. And then I met a bunch of friends in a bar, and then they said, we want to go big and all that, and said, you know what, let me take this on. I wanted to make this like a special project. I had my MBA, I was doing my MBA at that time, and I wanted to apply it. And I wanted to apply it in an industry that was unfamiliar to me. So I chose the harder industry of the music industry, where I didn't know nobody, but I know how to do business. So what I did was, I I sat down these five big burly boys and I told them, "What is your goal?" Like they were playing in Germany, and they were manufacturing their merch in Europe, and I said, "Are you crazy? You're in Australia. You should manufacture your merch in China." Like this is like low cost merch. So that's one vertical monetization plan. And the next monetization plan is we got to get you playing with the bigger stars so you get associated with them. So when Lacuna Coil, which was like the evanescence of Italy, came around, we kind of went and we introduced ourselves, and just I was the face of it.
I
I was
know
like
Laguna
dealing with,
Coil. Like I know.
Lacuna Coil.
Yeah.
There you go, Christina. Yeah.
Gosh.
So
I mean, I don't
so yeah.
know.
So
I don't know, but yeah, not like you
right.
know.
Yeah. And then eventually what happened was she got them to open for them in the Sydney Metro Theatre. So imagine 30 people to about now like 1,000 in the
Get
Metro
out.
Theatre in Sydney. Yeah. And then
What
I
a case
said,
study, by the
it was a
way.
case
What
study
a
because I
case
was like
study.
working, and I was like really optimistic about everything because I wasn't jaded by the music industry. I just knew
Yes.
how to do business, right? So all the rules didn't apply to me. I twisted them, I turned them, I just like started talking to people and figuring it out. And then I told them, "Oh, you want to work a festival now, a music festival with 25,000 people. Now, the next time you go to Germany, Germany is so saturated with metalheads."
Yeah, and Sweden is also very big for metal in general,
Exactly.
which is fun.
Exactly. And I'm like, why don't you look into Asia Pacific?
Hmm.
Because that's closer to you, that's less cost. Let's see how we can get you in one of them and then work your name from the ground up. Funny enough, the largest metal festival in Southeast Asia happened to be in the Philippines. And I knew nobody there. So I started cold calling, and I got them a magazine feature. We all flew to the Philippines, and I got myself introduced to a producer. We sent them their demo tapes. Fast forward a year later, they opened for Megadeath
Shut
for
up.
25,000 people.
Chills.
So that was
Literal
kind of
chills.
my, yeah. And I was doing that while juggling my MBA studies, and I was working in a fashion boutique just to earn a couple of bucks in Sydney in the Westfield Mall. And then I was doing this band thing, right? So
This
that was like
band thing.
pure
And with
entrepreneurship.
Megadeth.
Yeah. So
No.
yeah. So yeah. Well, we did have a falling out, those boys and I, because
No.
unfortunately, in that genre, it's really hard to make money.
Yeah,
As a
I could
revenue
see
growth
that.
person, it's really hard to make
Hmm.
money. And if I was gonna sacrifice a lot of things for them, I didn't think it was the right call. So it's always think about calculated risks.
Hmm.
I can always tell this story to my grandkids because it was something that I proved to myself I can do, right?
And that
But
band's
it's now,
name was, no, I'm just kidding.
well, I don't want to give them free promo,
I know,
but
but that's
yeah, I
wild.
will tell you
Okay.
offline.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. And I created a tours package for them. So meaning I would fly, like we created this okay, how would we monetize, right? Oh, we bring over people from Australia to attend the festival. Then we would like build in accommodations, tours, food. So I created like three monetization platforms for them. So
Hmm.
that's kind of like my Australia story.
And that's one story. Oh my
That's
gosh.
one MBA story. And then
That
10, I
was
think
like
another,
your case
yeah.
study. And this is
That was my case study.
crazy.
That was my case
This
study.
is bananas. Okay. will talk to you for like 100 years. This is so okay. So we usually only do
Yeah.
these for like at most 30 minutes, but this is so I'm so interested. Okay. So
Yeah.
I also kind of love metal music. I love punk rock. I grew up like doing a lot of like listening to a lot of
Uh-huh.
that. That's
Dragon
like
Force was there.
okay, I do know Dragon Force. Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
and the metal, I like that. It's like more of like the screamo, the new core, whatever it is, metal
Mhm.
core.
Mhm.
So it's like,
Mhm.
but so I'm not really
They're
good with like the Megadeath
they're
and
prog
everything, but I
tech.
know this.
They're
Yeah,
progressive technical metal
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah,
their genre. Yeah.
yeah. And so it's like, so this is like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And now I can't get my brain off of that. But you've also
Yeah.
worked with like, so you've worked with like VCs and stuff too. So like,
Yeah, that's
and
now.
then
This is
the
the now.
cyber.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
the
then like
cyber
what
component.
how yeah, so there's like AI,
Okay,
VC
so
and
after the
cyber.
MBA, after all that, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because that was my first foray into tech companies.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like 8, 9 years ago, e-commerce was still booming in that part of the world.
Hmm.
So they would hire MBA graduates. They love the Bain consultants because
Yeah.
they knew how to create. It's not even like engineers at that point. They didn't want to hire
Hmm.
engineers. They would and they will, but they like the strategic people that knew how to consult with businesses because they've seen it. So that's how I
Yeah.
got into tech. That's how I got into e-commerce,
Hmm.
and that was in Manila, and then I shifted to Singapore because I said to myself, I need to get to Singapore. That's the closest thing, right? It was great,
Hmm.
and I wanted to be in that part of the world at that point in time. But then I did travel tech, I did e-commerce just to like fast forward everything.
Hmm.
I did B2B SaaS, B2B AI SaaS now. But I felt like that type of tech was really weighing me down. It wasn't as exciting. And I always worked for people that propelled technology in a way that would benefit their bottom line business wise.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
said, okay, now I know how to create software to make people money through digital technology. How do I kind of protect these things or
Hmm.
protect people from what they've built? So that's where the cybercrime component came in. Yeah, and I wanted to work in that space because I really like infrastructure
Yeah.
and hardware. So I just went for it at that time. And this was like 7 years after my MBA. So imagine there
Wow.
hasn't been a lot of experiences. And this is what I want to say to people. If you can, if you build up some savings, I think even attending a master's program, a certificate
Hmm.
course, or learning along the way, no matter how old you are, is always valuable. In those 1.5, 2 years of me studying my master's degree, I learned so much that I would have otherwise learned when I was stuck in one job, doing one thing for just a few products.
Yeah.
It's just what you make of it, right? I don't say go ahead and take another master's degree. It's not for everybody, but just find a way to learn, right?
That is so true. And it's part of like Carol Dweck has a book called Mindset, and that's a lot of it, right? It's like developing and growing your growth mindset. And so I really love that. And that's something I encourage anybody to do is like look for ways that you can continue to learn and grow and challenge yourself. And it sounds like you might be an expert at challenging yourself. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right thing I'm doing, but I am a challenger. I'm very tough on
yeah,
myself, and I'll be honest with you, it's not been, roses, and it's a lot of been thorns as well, but I don't know, this is why I love life. I
yeah,
breathe and live these things. So, yeah.
that's so cool.
And
And like
yeah.
being able to challenge yourself though is definitely a skill that not a lot of people have, which
Mhm.
is really cool.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I knew that I love like working with people, and I love talking to different industries, and I have kind of this I've developed a good sense of intuition in business.
Mm,
That's why I tended to focus on enterprise, because especially when I was working back in Asia, all of my customers were enterprise customers because of my
yeah.
experience maybe 10 years ago in the Coca-Cola company. I was always
Yeah.
with leaders. I always understood procurement. It's not easy to deal
Mm,
with Fortune 100s or Fortune 500s. There's different, it's more a people thing than it is a
yeah.
systems thing, because you
Yeah.
got to work different layers of the company,
Hmm.
different people of the company. So change management is important. Reading people is important. That's the biggest thing about enterprise, winning enterprise customers, I feel like, and winning the revenue. Like if you can't convince them,
Yeah.
right? How could you? So
Yeah. That's so true. And I've worked a lot with like Fortune 9, Fortune 100, Fortune 500, and now I'm transitioning more into like the work I'm doing with small to medium businesses, VC-backed firms, founders, startups. And it's so important to me because I think with those folks, it's so much easier to, you feel the impact right away. But you're totally right with your enterprise customers that it's like you're still feeling that impact, but you're at like a larger scale. And so you're playing with a lot more pieces.
Yeah, and then if I can add to that, right? A lot of
Please.
founders now, especially in this age of AI, I'm going to put it out there. A lot of them are kids and they haven't worked in enterprise before. But they're bright, they're smart, but they just didn't
Yeah.
don't have that experience yet of how to put themselves out there, how to. And I was like, what is an RFP? What is
Yes.
procurement? Why do I want to win this? They're super smart. Like young
Yeah.
people right now are so smart. They can be founders in their own right. Of course, they can go to accelerators. Of course, they can go to VCs to have
Yeah.
them coached. But it takes
Hmm.
somebody that's been there, sat there, and that somebody like me that has lived that life
Yeah.
that can bridge both worlds because I've worked in startups. I've worked in four startups and one of them have traversed to IP. I was
Nice.
there when it went IPO. So I've seen that transition.
Yeah.
I've also worked in a big company. So how do you merge that? Right. With and then me being in school with all these like 25-year-olds, like early 30s now, I'm telling you my
Yes.
age. I felt like I have a good jive with the younger crowd.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like the communicator in between, like the translator.
Yeah.
So, and I found that to be very, very helpful, really.
Yeah. I mean, I still think of myself as a kid and I'm like almost 40 and it still is weird. Like, I have two kids and every time I had them, I was like,
Yeah.
what are my parents gonna think? You know what I mean? Like it's so
You look
silly,
so
right?
good. Honestly, I never would have
Thank
thought in a million years.
skincare, and I'm also allergic to the sun
I know.
mostly. Not really kidding. I just burn
Korean
very
skincare.
easily. Yes, yes. But no, I mean, but it's true. Like these like as you've said, kids, they're gonna change everything, which is really
Yeah.
cool. Also kind of terrifying for
Yeah.
us, and as we're getting on up
Millennials are like,
there.
oh my
Yeah,
God, everything's falling apart. What we once
yeah.
knew is no longer true.
I know. And like, you remember when everybody hated us too? Like, that was fun. I miss
Right.
those
Yeah.
days. But yeah, so tell me, I'm oscillating between two questions, but I really want to know. And you've given some kind of like really cool nuggets here. So, but what would you say to somebody who's going into founderhood, going into challenging themselves, going into making themselves grow maybe against their own will? What would you tell them that was helpful for you?
Now, I would put my experience into this as well. When I was in my 20s, I had like the audacity and the risk-taking ability to even work with a metal band as a
Yeah,
founder of something, right? I
yeah,
liken it to what's happening right now. I think when you're younger, do it.
yeah.
But when you're a bit older, I'm not saying don't do it, but because you have more responsibilities to your health, to your family, to the people around you, taxes to pay to the government. I don't know. I feel like as you grow, there's more responsibility. So you have
Hmm.
to take a calculated risk,
Yeah,
right? If you're 22 and you feel like you can do it. Oh my God,
yeah,
do it. 25, do it.
yeah.
30, do it. But then you have to think, okay, what is this going to cost me? Right?
Hmm.
Because there's a reason why I didn't want to be a founder at this age.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I can take the pressure. As
Hmm.
much as what I've done before is really crazy, I just know myself. First thing is to know yourself. What can you take?
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Try and learn from other people's shoes, right?
Gosh, that's
And
a good one too.
interview them. It's like, well, how do you sleep? Do you ever sleep?
Yeah.
There is a sacrifice to be made as a founder, especially now that everybody's trying to be a founder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
And I speak in the tech terms, in like
yeah.
the business world, right?
Yeah.
So do a self check
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
I love that. And so, calculated risks, it sounds like understand what your risk profile is,
Yeah.
right? That's a
Yeah.
big one. And it's especially a big one for me, especially as I'm thinking about like how I move through this world, what I tell my kids. I tell my
Yeah.
5-year-old, I always tell him, like, you don't have to make all of your own mistakes. You can learn from others too.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
he's 5. He doesn't really get it. Like, he's starting to understand that, like, not everything has to be perfect. He's a little bit of a type A, like his mom, where it's like
Yeah.
I know, it's rough for me too, But yeah, he wants everything to be perfect. He wants things to go his way, and not everything's going to go our way. And so that's one thing I'm
No.
working with him on.
But you bring up a good point. Like as we talk about this, Sarah, I feel like I'm also a founder in my own right because I founded
Sure.
K and Co. Although it's like an embedded leadership fractional, whatever you might call it, it's still something that I'm trying the brand that I'm trying to build.
Yeah.
Although there's a different pressure attached to it, this is the type of pressure that I know I'm
Hmm.
comfortable with because I'm not reinventing something. I'm
Yeah.
just taking my previous skill set and applying it to a different audience, putting some business structure around it. So I'm not necessarily threading new waters here. And that's
Hmm.
the risk profile that I could take right now is what do I know and how can I repackage it in such a way that I can grow and my business could also grow.
That's such a good point, too, of like minimizing your own risk because you're capitalizing on what you do best, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
This has been an incredible conversation. I don't want to let you go, but we both have things to do, unfortunately. I could sit here all
Yeah.
day. Kirsten, do you want to tell people where they can find you and drop your links or your pluggables? And I'll put everything in the show notes too.
For sure. Find me on LinkedIn. I am very active on LinkedIn. It's Kirsten Co, comma MBA, comma MS or comma MS, comma MBA. www.kandco.ai for everything that I do. It's just my webpage, but you can reach me. I think Sarah will drop some URLs and some links right
I will.
there. I work one on one with founders as well
Hmm.
in different capacities. So if you'd like to reach out, reach out.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Kirsten. We'll talk to you soon, and everybody have a great day.
Everybody have a great day too. Bye.
Bye.